broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hello, AfterBuzzers, and welcome to the after show for ABC's Blood and Oil, Season 1, Episode 3, Hustle and Flow. If you're getting that reference, then you're getting the song that we're playing, which I'm not familiar with, but
from the movie Hustle and Flow.
So yeah, a little different flavor after tonight's North Dakotan themed show. I'm your host, Grant Rutter, and tonight alongside me...
Hello, everybody. Lauren Salaun here. You guys can find me on Twitter at Lauren Salaun.
And you can chat with us in the chat, I believe.
Yes, you can.
Ooh, we're up. We're good.
Yeah.
And
right there on YouTube.
Great. And feel free to give us a call. Let us know what you're thinking so far. We're into the Season 3 episodes. We'll be taking a few calls this evening. That number is 424-236-1729.
256.
256. 424-256-1729. Maybe if I say it in my Rhode Island accent, I'll say it right. So there you go. Give us a call if you're interested and let us know. I want to give really kind of some initial thoughts around the episode. I was really happy with this episode overall. There was a lot of twists and turns. I wanted to see more of this previously. What did you think?
I thought there was definitely a lot of drama, like from every angle,
yeah.
I think, this week. There were some moments that were a little too cheesy for me and a little too predictable.
Like we looked at each other a few times.
Yeah, we're like, oh, please. Like at one point, I literally said the exact line that came out 2 seconds later. I'm like, oh, here, I bet this is exactly what he's going to say in response. And sure enough, I was right. And hey, ABC, hire me for writing, I guess.
There
or
you
something
go.
Like that.
Dialogue writer right there.
But all in all, I loved the heightened drama, for sure. I think it's setting us up for some good drama coming up.
Absolutely. I want to comment on Chace Crawford's performance, mainly looking at last week's episode, but also a little bit in this week. The way he interacts with Hap, of course, oh God, what's that?
Don Johnson.
Don Johnson. They made names on this show. I don't know what it is. I'm not usually this off base, but yes. When I watched the performance, I worked with an assistant and whatever, and he had this executive that he was just idolizing and would just do anything to to do business, to have a conversation, to be on the radar. And the way that Chace has gone about delivering his lines and the way he's been performing reminds me so much of that person that I know. It's very true to life and very much trying to to earn the respect.
Right,
so he's playing the beats.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're wanting to, if you've got an opportunity like that to learn from somebody who has paved that way and who has built such a successful empire, if they're willing to mentor you and put their time and energy into you, then go for it. Of course, we learn in this episode it was that time and that energy and attention was a little misleading because it was all a trick.
Yeah, I mean, he was warned that he did deal with the devil, or he's working with the devil, so yes, that came true this week. Let's talk about this rig that's still in the picture at this point. This guy Gary, he's such a hothead.
Yeah.
He's kind of a pain in the ass.
He is. I feel like he's a little too much the predictable cliche bad guy right now.
A little mustache twirling, would you say?
He's like, well, if they want me to flip, then you know who I'm going to rat out first.
He's doing that awful spray paint job. Anyone going by on a galloping horse would notice the letters shining. Even if they were spray painted, because they're like decals.
Yes.
On
so
the
you see the outline. I mean, I'm sure anyone has seen this before. When you see a truck pretty much that has been painted over. Even if they peel the decals off, there's still that line from where they were. You'll be able to tell. It doesn't take like a rocket scientist investigator to figure that out.
Stupid. So I mean,
Gary.
It's like, especially when you're driving around an oil rig, in oil country. It's kind of like everyone's people.
How many companies are there right in their little area?
Right. Yeah. 0. Well, 1 as we saw. So they said they got 8 large at the end of the day for this. So what is this? 800,000, 8 million? What is this? I mean, for one, I would say 800,000 then if you're gonna have just one truck.
But then he also said 50 each to Wick on the phone, right?
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, 50 per. Unless it was 50 per, and there were more, to add up to 800,000. I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah,
I mean, even Wick was like, let's cool it. Like, let's take a break on this. And they should have totally just buried it for a few weeks.
Yeah.
And they know that people are out there looking for that. There's a bounty on it. I mean, a man died. It's like, that is the worst time to decide, we're going to take a chance and we're going to move it. But in a very interesting and exciting scene for the show, the Chace scene happened. Yeah. And I thought that was pretty good. I thought they did a pretty good job. Makes me nervous.
I thought so too. Though at the same time, I'm like, okay, I'm sorry, but can't an SUV outrun a big rig? Like in a straightaway, I don't know about that. If the big rig's got enough momentum going and just steps on it and can keep powering. But on a road that has some turns, that SUV should be able to outmaneuver that big rig, right?
And I was waiting for the big rig to go over, because we always see that in every movie, TV show, even the tour at Disney Studios or whatever.
Or at least some kind of accident, at least a collision, which it was a pretty safe chase ultimately, and then
it was well shot, and that's why I thought it was kind of exciting.
Yeah, definitely. And then of course, he gets onto the reservation and is like, coast is clear, which I mean, I don't know the exact rules for that sort of situation, but I get jurisdiction issues, and that I guess is kind of how it works in real life. If you cross the border, you're home free, but then and they don't necessarily have the best relationship with the Native American tribe there.
True,
you know? So I don't know if they'd be like, hey guys, we're just chasing this guy. We think he's a murderer. Can you help us out?
Right. I mean, there has to be someone. I mean, it's there's a crime that was committed beyond just, what was a grand theft. I mean, it goes beyond that. At this point now, they're up against 2 things. So, could they have made a call?
Right,
perhaps?
right.
Yeah, I mean, come on. So, so that ended up working out kind of in their favor to start, and then we saw that it all kind of fell apart because the sheriff is just not letting it happen. So, anyway, let's talk about the scenes between Hap and Jules. We learned that they've got an extensive history.
They certainly do.
4 years they've been kind of on each other's radar, to say the very least. 2 of those years they snuck around. So
a little steamy affair going on.
And then he ended up marrying Carla, and it seemed like that was a kind of a quick
she's like, you
deal.
leave for New York for 1 month and you come back married. So I'm curious what happened there, because and we know from Lacey, Hap's daughter, that she's always like, oh, your merger, I mean marriage, such a little snot.
She really is.
So and we know Carla was a banker and she has a lot of powerful connections. So I wonder exactly what was really beneficial in that situation, So I'm hoping we'll see a little bit more insight into how that relationship came to be and what the benefits from both sides really are. Obviously, we see them enough, Carla's in this beautiful mansion, all the money she could ever want, and it continues to grow, lots of power, that sort of thing. But what more was in it for Hap, Are there
Right.
I don't know, from the financial side of things, is he doing some shady business and she's able to help navigate the money situation, or has connections with
she keeps talking about Goldman's guys. She keeps talking about Goldman's, so she's doing work for him, so he is getting something out of that marriage, but she isn't being very coy when it comes to her intentions. In a way, she sits there, she pouts, and then she's comes up with all these ideas before anyone can even speak at the meeting, and she's got everything handled. She definitely, isn't too sly with her agenda. I mean, we don't really know what the overall agenda is, but she is pretty, bold and out there doing it. So, anyway, Hap, I guess, is just, talking about how, he's got this perfect marriage and this perfect house, but not everything is that great. And he tells Jules, and I thought this was an interesting quote, he says, I'm very patient man when there's something important in my life.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, so
curious about that statement. What does that... So, and that was another thing. I'm glad you brought that up, because what exactly... Obviously, he's talking about her and their potential future relationship, being patient for that. But what is the thing that he has to wait for in order to be able to then be back with Jules? Is there is it the big McCutcheon deal and Carla's help with that and kind of her relationships and strategic ties that she has to help that really come into fruition, and then get all the money starting to come in with that deal? And then he can be like, well, his marriage isn't really working out anymore. See ya, Carla. What does he have to be patient for exactly?
Right. I got a similar feeling, eventually he's going to be with her. There's just something that has to happen. That was what I thought. It seemed like he kind of was stringing her along.
Yeah, exactly.
Just wait, he didn't say that directly, but mentioning he's a very patient man. It's okay, well, if you're being patient, then that's something's happening. So, will be interesting.
I'm wondering what exactly that, it is that he has to wait for.
Right.
But, and I know we talked when we were watching about whether or not we buy the chemistry between them, because separately, Jules is super foxy, she is super hot.
Her leather pants all over town.
Yeah, and her gorgeous long hair and that accent and stuff. She's super hot. And I mean, Don Johnson's an older guy, but he's a pretty attractive older man. So I don't think chemistry is completely out of the question in terms of both their characters and those actors, but I don't totally see it, and I don't feel it really.
No, I mean, it was shot hot, the way they fell on the bed and everything. It was I'm sure it would look great in a promo, but it just didn't translate to me.
No, I didn't feel the heat between them.
These are two people that haven't been together for a long time, and they have just this bombastic passion that they had is going to explode after all this time. It was
when he goes over to her place in the middle of the night, when she's like, oh, did you mean what you said? Okay, then you have to get over here, sort of thing. And it's he walks in and he's just so slow and hello, there's no... Which is fine. Yeah, you can take it slow that and just stare at each other. But then there was no real intense. See,
I think if you have chemistry with someone, you can't get your hands on them fast enough. You go for it.
Oh, especially if
that's passion.
We did see them kiss last week, and so they have reconnected, if you will. But I would think in that situation when she's get over to my house sort of thing. It's not going to be this slow thing.
So is it safe to say they've reconnected because of her growing relationship with his son? Because it's kind of it seems to me time has passed since they've been on each other's radar, and now all of a sudden it's once, twice a day they're getting together.
Yeah, well, I think so, because since Wick has brought her around a lot more, he's seeing her more, and I think he being Hap, and I think that is kind of spiking his past feelings and reminding him of that situation, and there's probably some jealousy there, or I don't want... And let's actually, for a second, it's weird also, not just the fact that they don't completely have chemistry, at least from what we're seeing, but she, with her, dark hair, olive skin, all that sort of thing, resembles his daughter. No?
Yes, very
Same
much.
age, just about.
They have similar makeup, too.
Yeah.
I noticed how they're done up very similarly.
And that, the sass and stuff, they're both pretty sassy. And then she's also having sex with his son. So, this is just a very weird situation from both of their perspectives, especially Hap's being no, I want you, sort of thing. You look kind of like my daughter and you're sleeping with my son. Let's get it on. It's just a little weird.
Yeah. I want to see Carla find out and then get in a little fight with this Jules girl. Because that girl's a good actress. She can hold her own, too. So I feel that could be a good moment.
I wonder if Carla would because she's all about the manipulative, strategic moves, I feel like. And I wonder if she would just crack and go throw down, or if she would be cool and collected as we've seen her, and
yeah. I'm sure she'd
an
ice
angry,
her to death.
cool smile and just be like, all right, no problem. And then turn around and be like, planning, and something very devilish would come out of it.
Yeah. Oh, it'll work out in her favor for sure. I feel like, because
Yeah.
she's just everything's got a purpose with her, and I like that. That's how these soapy characters should be. Being just character driven as opposed to plot driven, where it's just let's get to this next thing. Let's see her really internalize this and really make it happen for herself, and not just blow up and have a scene. As much as I would love to have one scene of good shade and a good fight, I'm okay with it playing out. So
yeah.
Well, let's take a look at some cheers and jeers, some little moments that stood out to both of us during the episode. Sometimes it's we see things and we're like, that was ridiculous, or I loved that. Something simple. I'll start first with my cheers, and let's get ready. My cheers go to the character of Hap this episode, because I feel like where have you been? First of all, this is what I wanted to see on this show. I wanted to see someone who is complicated, immoral, and overall a real catalyst. And I was hoping that there would be a little bit more evident in the first episode, especially nowadays that. You can't really let that stuff roll out too long, because you're going to lose audience. So I'm glad. I'm okay, this is a character that's worth watching, because we don't know how he's going to turn and what he's going to do and what's in his head. So I give him my cheers, and him and his behavior. I give my jeers to a moment in this. The whole food truck thing is kind of ridiculous, and they kept mentioning it oh, you're doing your deal, but I got us a food truck, or we could always go to the food truck. And it's this is really we're in this land of millionaires,
right?
And we have to keep checking out this food truck, and then the convenience of having this guy Finn show up, and then the relationship budding between him and the wife. It's just, we don't even know who these people are. It's unnecessary, and there's enough going on.
Right.
So cheers to that.
Yes. Okay. So my cheers would be bringing back Kes and Ada, because we saw them in the beginning at the Patchwork Hotel, and then they're like, oh, we just made all this money, let's give it to these strangers who gave us some food.
Did you notice that Kes was wearing a new
which we've already talked about a little bit, the chemistry between Jules and Hap. I like that there's that storyline going on. I think it's juicy and good drama, but I just don't feel the heat, and I want to feel the heat.
Right.
Okay?
Absolutely.
So that's my little disappointment.
Well, I agree with you, and you can let us know your cheers and jeers in the comments below, or dial us tonight if you're around at 424-256-1729.
Yeah, give us a call.
Yeah, and let us know on iTunes what you think of our show as well. Give us a thumbs up on YouTube, rate us high. So let's move on to the next little segment of the show with AJ, or Ahmed, as we learned his name. And I knew that this guy had something going on.
Right.
The pilot script that I read had this guy and Lacey kind of at the forefront a little bit more, and they had him reporting to, he was a prince. This might be a spoiler, perhaps, I don't know, because the script has veered away from the show has veered away from what I initially read.
He was a prince in the pilot you read?
Yeah, he was an undercover prince.
What does that even mean?
For an oil tycoon, in the Middle East.
Oh, but he's a prince.
According to what I read, apparently. But now he's doubling as a driver. This could be a spoiler, or it could be nothing at all. But this is what I think.
No. Okay, he's undercover acting as a prince.
No, he's like a prince put into this world to try to infiltrate and bring information back.
I'm glad they didn't keep that he was a prince in the show, because that would have been kind of silly.
Because he was on the phone and they're very good, Your Highness. And I'm like, oh God. But so I don't know, but I still got my eye on either him or this Jules chick, because they're both, they're both ethnically diverse.
Okay.
So they could be perhaps from a Middle Eastern background, and that could be something that they're trying to pull off, because that's where a lot of money is, and I don't know how that would sabotage such a thing, but who knows.
I think Jules is more of a woman of all trades,
little bit
hustler.
I don't
think she's got something that sneaky going on. I think she's got her hands in a lot of different projects and people's pants.
Yeah.
But I definitely am curious about AJ and that lady that he met at the cafe or diner. Like, of course, like they're like sitting, you know.
I liked that scene though. I thought it was kind of interesting to see like something happen like that. Wasn't
so he's
just
got to
like basic
get soil samples. So now it's okay. So who are the people that he's reporting to?
Right.
You know, is it another big oil tycoon? Is it a government type thing? You know, what's the who's behind it all?
I think a government twist would be good.
Yeah.
Because she seemed kind of like a disgruntled government worker herself. So
and Hap's a big dog, you know. So we'll see. Or somebody maybe he's wronged in the past.
Right.
Never know.
Also, that Lacey character, she's supposed to be like this environmentally pro, like friendly, like green, like against like this and more towards new energy. But she hasn't done anything to represent that. In fact, she hasn't done much of anything in the show besides throw shade.
Yeah, and
what's her point?
So she's being a little immature, I feel like, at this point. With like, I get she doesn't trust Carla. I get that, and so she sasses her all the time. But at this point, okay, move on, girl.
Right.
Like, get some new disses. She's just, I'm getting a little tired of it, But yeah, she did reassure Carla. She was like, oh, don't worry. I'm not going to be dropping out of school and coming to run the family oil business. So, like, I'm not going to be here for long, sort of thing. So, but we also know from, you know, doing a little research, she is going to be in the show the rest of the season.
Right.
So
she's going to get
we'll
tied
see what
in
changes
somewhere.
her plans.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she is she's got the hots for AJ. And even when she comes... when he kind of turns her down when he's leaving, she's like, oh, well, just stay for me, sort of thing. And he's like, nope, gotta get gotta do this for Hap. Can't push it any longer. And he pieces out, and she's like, oh, excuse me, like, guys do not leave me in the driveway.
You gotta find something to do.
Yeah, and then he gets back and he like just makes out with her so that she won't see he's testing the oil or the soil. And so she's definitely intrigued by his, like, you know, hot and cold demeanor. So we'll see if that turns into, because also when AJ's talking with his contact, he was like, oh, well, the situation's complicated or something like that. And you, of course, assume that he's kind of part of that is referring to the situation with Lacey, you know, and he doesn't want to screw them over because he likes her. So...
I'm intrigued by that story because it's something like, it's a twist. It's something different. So I'm like, okay, bring it on. Like, it's somebody else, like, kind of in the periphery, you know, getting it. I'm sure they'll come up into the center soon. Another character that's been kind of on the outs has been this Cody girl. I mean, I have a problem with her.
This Cody girl.
I have a problem with her because I'm like, they don't do her anything with her. She has like a storyline of the week.
Yeah,
that's it.
Well, and she's just always like so like. I don't know what it is. Like, do. Hey, what about this? Okay, no, dang, you know, and like just like supporting Billy and whatever he does, and she's always like a little encourager. So I just feel like she's such a like supporting secondary character, and sometimes is kind of pointless.
Right,
you know?
I kind of agree.
It did bring the food truck and the restaurant situation back into the storyline, which was good. But yeah, I do feel like we need a little more. More with
from her,
them, you know, because so far with that couple, Billy's really driving the story with all his interactions with Hap and Wick and the business stuff going on, and she's kind of, you know, the support system.
Yeah,
there.
pretty much.
So,
well, let's talk about the business that you were mentioning. Koala One was the big story of the day, the big storyline of the week. So this was supposed to be like a huge thing. Billy, of course, wanting to buy in. I think he made a terrible decision, as he found out later on. But even as it was going down, I was like, oh, don't do that.
Right. We said this already, but Billy and Cody do not make good decisions financially.
No, Susie Orman was just so furious with those two.
And with communication. They do not discuss these things together as husband and wife. Those are things you should be doing when you're just like, oh, $250,000, okay. Oh, $50,000, okay. Talk it over with your partner, okay?
Right.
And then also, like, you do not want to put all your eggs in one investment basket.
And
like, hello, diversify your portfolio, buddy. Like, don't pull it all out of, especially when he's got like such a good potential with the McCutcheon property.
5% of whatever comes out of there.
Yes.
Come on, it's like it's unlimited. Even he knew it.
And a percentage thing is so, that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
It was so stupid. I knew that second when he's like, oh, I'm going to pull it all out and give you McCutcheon. I was like, nope, this is going to bite him in the butt. It's going to bite him in the butt. Do not do that.
Like 5%, you use that to be able to bankroll your future investments, but you keep that going. Like everyone's got their main, source of income, or their, even the Shark Tanks of the world, or the Sharks of the world. They have their, their big money maker, and then they use that capital to be able to invest in other things. Like just sit for a minute. Oh
gosh, he's so impulsive and it's driving me crazy.
I know, because he feels terrible that he missed out on that deal from the previous week, but like, it's okay.
Right, there's gonna be more, clearly, as you've seen. You've already had like 15 opportunities to invest in various things in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah,
so just
take
a deep breath.
Yeah, I know, it's only been 2 weeks, buddy.
I think I read something recently that said the average millionaire or whatever has 7 different sources of income. Which makes sense, you know. It should not all be from one source, and Billy needs to sharpen up with his investment.
Yeah, I mean, even though he's being mentored, he can still read a book.
Right, yeah, or like common sense.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I don't know, things didn't work out well for him, and they had that big pomp and circumstance of the oil
Is that
coming
how
up.
It happens?
I don't know. I thought it was kind of over the top.
Come over for the oil spitting party. We'll watch the oil shoot out of the ground, and it'll remind us of all the gold that's going to be flowing to us soon.
I was like, is that normal? Like, I mean, I just feel like that's like another day.
Yeah,
right?
Like
if there's so many of these, fields and so much, it's so unbelievably rich in oil that it's kind of like, I don't know if we need a ceremony, like men in suits under tents.
It's kind of cool though. They're just like, oil, and they're like falling on all of them. You have to like throw away whatever you're wearing, basically.
Yeah, I like to see how they did that. With how they set it up. I'm sure it was just like watercolored or whatever, but I'm curious to see how it was all put together. Yeah,
or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, that is.
So they said, it was a spike hit, something like that. Like it was like a pressure or something like that.
Like a little bit of oil will get into like some little area and cause a lot of pressure, and it makes them think that there's a big reservoir under there. I don't know these oil terms, but then it just spouts off. But wouldn't you be able to like, with some testing or something, be able to like kind of gauge how far that oil is, or like
they must
measure? Yeah, there's got to be a way to kind of tell like whether or not that goes deeper than just like a bucket.
Yeah, they must, because even Hap knows that at the McCutcheon property, territory, whatever it was, that there's $1 trillion worth of oil there. So like, somebody has to know what the trajectory is for such a thing.
Yeah.
So he knew, and he just screwed both of them. That's what I think. I mean, he kind of admitted it, right? I mean, he kind of said, look, like, oh, well, bad investment for you, and for you, I'm just testing you, basically.
Yeah, I know.
So, I like it, though. He's being smart.
I like it, too. I liked the direction of Hap bringing Billy under his wing and, like, kind of pushing Wick out of the situation, but I like this. Even though I feel bad for Billy, I like this direction more, because Hap's like coming out like, this is the kind of savvy cutthroat business type of stuff, which is a little shady, that he does, and that's allowed him to become so successful.
Yeah. I thought we were going to be set up for a success with this koala one, and that it was going to really set up both Wick and Billy to really have to work together and square off, and then I thought it was going to be but I like the direction they took, because it makes it a little bit more dramatic, and of course that dynamic can still play out, so it is what it is. It sucks for them, though. I mean, how disappointing, especially to know you've been played for $500,000, well 250 plus, giving up all of your income, basically.
Because an investment does not mean you get anything back.
No.
If it's unsuccessful, you could just be paying it out.
Yeah, that sucks.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't feel that bad, because I think Billy makes stupid decisions. So I'm like, well, how many times are you going to do this and then get screwed over, and to realize like maybe you shouldn't be so impulsive.
Right.
I'm like such a grown up about it.
Wick was awfully disappointed. He was pissed, but I'm like, I thought about it. I'm like, I can see why he would be angry, of course.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, he's a Briggs. Like, just move on to the next. Like, his dad's not going to leave him out in the cold. Like, he has obviously a lot less to lose than Billy, of course. But, he was rightfully upset. But then Hap kind of came in and said, look, like, we're going to go in on this McCutcheon property. We're all in now. It's going to be nothing but a success. But there's something you have to do. You have to dump that girlfriend.
I know. What a little jealous little manipulator
I
there.
like it, yeah.
I know.
This is what I was waiting for.
I was like, he's going to make him dump her. He's going to make him dump her.
Yeah.
Like all this talk about focus completely on oil. Eat, sleep, breathe, dream, oil. Oh,
yeah, go, because that's what he's doing. All right, he's really breathing and sleeping oil. Yeah, a little busy with the wife and a side piece.
Yeah.
For real though.
Oh gosh, can you imagine when Wick finds out about Hap and Jules? What is that gonna be like? Because that's gonna be shit's gonna hit the fan.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that because it's definitely come out. Like that's like soap 101. Yeah. So Wick, everything is kind of getting tied up with that, and then Wick gets this phone call, and it's Gary's dumbass again. And you mentioned it earlier. He's like, guys, they're gonna push me. They're gonna, what did he say? They're gonna make me flip.
Yeah, and you know who I'm gonna spill first. Blah, blah. Come on. At this point, like, once Gary took the rig and was like, oh, I sold it, da 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 da. At that point, like, if I were Wick, I'd be thinking, okay, how do I get myself detached from this guy and out of this mess, because he is a loose cannon and he is gonna screw me, Yeah, because he is going to. And now you're in an even bigger mess because you just got arrested. Like, figure out how to get yourself out of the situation.
Right. When that guy got killed, I would have been like, all right, I'm out.
Yeah.
I don't need this. I don't want to be a part of this. My father's talking to me again. Everything turned bad. Like, I don't need it. Goodbye.
Once he got killed, I would have backed out of the situation because he's just getting in a deeper and deeper mess there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a mess is right. So Billy just ends the episode just feeling so sorry for himself, and he vows that he's gonna come back and get him. And I'm like, how are you gonna do this? This guy is worth like multi-millions, probably trillions future with the McCutcheon property. I mean, he's worth so much money. It's like, what are you gonna do? You're broke and you live in a little house. Yeah. Like, what are you gonna do?
Well, that's gonna happen. He's gonna end up doing something amazing or figuring out something awesome that is going to bring him good money for one, but also be able to kind of beat Hap at his own game. Because we want to see, with this story, we want to see the underdog,
guy,
nobody, up and comer kind of do something big. So it's coming, but we'll see how it.
And once again, Cody's like, yeah, I'm pregnant and we own a house, but it's okay.
Yeah, it's you and me, and that's all that matters. Like, I appreciate her, idealism.
I don't know. I don't know any relationship that works like that. I just don't. It's just not real.
No. I would be like, okay.
Please.
Before you go off and spend another, more than $100, we're talking it through.
Right. Yeah. You should have some of a cap, at least. Especially now you got another.
Which is not to say, gosh, that makes me sound like a crazy person. I do not make my husband tell me every time he spends more than $100. But when it's like as much as a house, you talk those things through, especially when it keeps happening.
Yeah, and when you have a limited amount of money.
Yeah.
I mean, they're literally playing with your whole
and they have no jobs.
No. Can't stand it.
Oh, gosh.
Well, let's take a look forward and predict what's coming up on the next episode.
Yes.
And now, your AFTERBUZZ TV predictions.
Okay, so in the teaser that we had, that was showing us just what's coming up next week.
It looks like it, yeah.
My goodness, that looks like there's going to be a lot of drama. So
see, the way they're cut, though, last week was just different. What happened was different than what was in the promo.
Right. So I'm part of me wonders if that was. It seemed like there was way too much going on in the teaser to be just what's happening next week. Though we do see Billy confronting Hap about his relationship with Jules, and that I am very curious to see, because he's not going to just out Hap. He's going to use that as blackmail for sure.
And that's probably how he'll get his leg up, I assume, because he's down and out.
get the McCutcheon parcel back. Yeah, right. Hap wouldn't do that.
Yeah. I mean, Hap's been very stingy. Every episode, including this one, he hasn't let anybody in on any of these deals.
No. So I'm curious to see. I feel like that's going to be how Billy gets his foot back in the door with McCutcheon, but how? Or how much exactly?
Looks like Gary's back in the picture next week, and Hap pulls a gun on him, I believe. Is that what it is, or is it reversed? There's some gun involved.
I don't know. Hap, I think?
Yeah, well, I know Hap was going to confront Wick, right? So that will be interesting to say the least. Because this episode, at the top of this episode, he was even saying to Carla, he's like, yeah,
you were wrong.
I just can't. Yeah, he can't get his mind around it.
I don't think he believes it, though. I think he's still, I don't know. Because I keep thinking that Hap knows, and there's some kind of, he's got some itch that, he knows it was Wick involved. But then at the same time, he's like, oh, son, I'm bringing you in on McCutcheon, like, it was just a test. Then I'm like, oh, he doesn't know, or does he? I don't know his play here. I still think that Hap has a feeling that Wick was involved, especially when he catches him on the phone at dinner. He was like, who was that? Every time Wick makes a phone call or takes a call, when Hap's around, Hap is there to hear it. Yeah. So
he doesn't trust him. Yeah.
No.
That scene, just to jump back with him talking about the post-mortem regarding the, the Koala One, and then kind of before they talked about McCutcheon, when they were, I believe, at the pool table, I was ready for him to turn the tables on Wick and be like, not only was that a test, but I was to embarrass the hell out of you because I know everything that went on. Like, I was hoping that he would turn the tables on him. But it's a little early for that. We're on episode 3, so everything will roll out, and we'll be here to cover it for you here at AFTERBUZZ TV. So where can we find you online?
You guys, you can find me on all social media, Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, at Lauren Salaun. That's LAUREN SALAUN.
And you guys can find me over on Twitter at Grants__Rants. And you can find me on my podcast, Grants Rants Hollywood Talk. You'll hear some familiar voices from AfterBuzz and more. Some Hollywood chat. Check it out. That'll do it for us for the after show for Blood and Oil.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.